There are three Pixel 11s on sale right now, and $400 separates the cheapest from the most expensive. Most people are about to buy the wrong one. This is not a hype video, and we have no affiliation with Google. We are going to lay out exactly what changed, what did not, and which model deserves your money. One rule before we start. Everything we state as fact comes from Google's own announcement or major outlets covering it, and anything still unconfirmed gets labeled as reported, not proven. Google announced the Pixel 11 series on August 12th at a Made by Google event in New York. Pre-orders opened the same day, and retail availability began on August 20th. The event covered the Pixel 11, the Pixel 11 Pro, and the Pixel 11 Pro XL, alongside the Pixel Watch 5 and a new tracker. We will focus on the phones and come back to the watch at the end. The headline change across the whole lineup is the Tensor G6, which Google says is manufactured on a 2-nanometer process. Every Pixel 11 gets it, from the $899 model up. The quieter change matters more day to day. Base storage across the series now starts at 256 gigabytes, which is the upgrade Pixel buyers have been asking about for years. Start at the bottom. The standard Pixel 11 is $899 for 256 gigabytes with a 6.3-inch OLED display. At the top, the Pixel 11 Pro XL starts at $1,299 with a 6.8-inch Super Actua display at 1344 by 2992. The Pro sits between them. Reporting describes the XL as carrying a $200 premium over the Pro, which would put the Pro near $1,099. Treat that as reported pricing, not a figure we have independently confirmed. So the practical spread is $400 from bottom to top, and every one of those phones runs the same processor. That is the single most important sentence in this video. Let us talk about that chip. Google's own claim is that the G6 CPU delivers up to 20% better power efficiency than the Tensor G5. Read that claim carefully because efficiency is not the same as raw speed. Google is telling you the chip does similar work using less power, which shows up as battery life, not as a benchmark score. That is arguably the right thing to fix. Tensor's historical weakness has never been peak performance on paper. It has been heat and sustained load, and efficiency gains attack exactly that. What we will not do is quote you benchmark numbers we have not seen from independent testing. When credible sustained performance tests land, we will cover them properly. Battery next, and this is where the Pixel 11 gets genuinely interesting. Google rates the standard model at over 30 hours of use, with adaptive battery throttling apps you rarely open. The cell itself is listed at roughly 4,985 mAh typical capacity, with a minimum rating near 4,840. Wired charging is 30 watts over USB-C using the PPS standard, and Google quotes about 55% in roughly 30 minutes with the right charger. Wireless charging supports Qi 2 at up to 25 watts, with the Pro series adopting Qi 2.2. If you have been waiting for magnetic accessories to just work on a Pixel, this is that generation. Here is the honest counterpoint. 30 watts is respectable, not class-leading. Several competing Android flagships charge considerably faster, and if refueling speed is your top priority, the Pixel is still not the phone that wins. Now cameras, because this is where almost all of the price difference actually lives. The Pro models are the ones that receive the meaningful hardware upgrade. Coverage of the Pro series points to a new main sensor and a 120x Pro zoom mode, described across outlets as the biggest single leap in the generation. Be realistic about extreme zoom. At 120 times, you are looking at heavily processed output, and the genuinely usable range sits far below the headline number. Judge it on the 10 to 30 times range instead. The standard Pixel 11 still carries Google's computational photography stack, which has been the actual reason Pixels take good pictures for a decade. You are giving up the new hardware, not the software. Displays. The standard model is 6.3 inches at 1080 by 2424, rated up to 3000 nits. The Pro XL is 6.8 inches at 1344 by 2992. At 3000 nits, outdoor readability is a solved problem on both. The Pro XL gives you more physical area and more pixels, but at typical phone viewing distance, the sharpness difference is far smaller than the spec sheet implies. Physically, the camera bar is slimmer this year, And there is a new LED strip built into it that lights up for calls, messages, and assistant activity. Small honesty note. Different outlets have reported that light strip under two different product names, so rather than guess, we will use Google's final branding once it is unambiguous. That is the kind of detail we would rather flag than fudge. So here is the catch, and it applies to the whole lineup. The Pixel 11 is a careful iteration, not a reinvention. The chip is more efficient, the storage is bigger, the camera's improved on the Pro, and the display resolutions did not move. If you are holding a Pixel 10, our honest recommendation is to skip this one. There is no single change here that justifies a year-over-year upgrade cost, and your phone will receive most of the software features anyway. If you are on a Pixel 8 or older, the calculation flips completely. You would be collecting 2 or 3 generations of battery efficiency and storage improvements in one jump, and that is real money well spent. If you are switching from an iPhone, the key to magnetic support genuinely matters, because your existing magnetic mounts and chargers have a much better chance of simply working. Quick word on the Pixel Watch 5, since it launched the same day. It is $399 for the 41mm and $429 for the 45mm, with LTE models costing roughly $100 more. Our view is do not bundle it in without thinking. The price rose $50 while the 41mm battery moved from 325 to 332 mAh, which is a very small hardware gain for a real price increase. Recommendations. The standard Pixel 11 at $899 is the right phone for most people watching this. Same chip, same software, 30-plus hour battery, and 256 gigabytes of storage. The Pro XL at $1,299 only makes sense if you genuinely shoot a lot of telephoto, or you specifically want the largest, highest resolution screen. Those are the two things your extra $400 buys. The Pro is the awkward one. It gives you the improved camera system in a smaller body, which is a real niche, but at its reported price you are paying most of an XL premium for less screen. One practical tip that will save you more than any spec on this list. Check carrier and trade-in offers before you commit, because at launch those deals routinely swing the real price by hundreds of dollars, far more than the gap between two models. So the verdict: buy the $899 Pixel 11 unless you shoot serious telephoto or you truly want the biggest screen, in which case go straight to the XL and skip the Pro entirely. And if you're on a Pixel 10, keep your phone. There is no shame in a good phone staying a good phone for another year, and nobody selling you a review is going to say that as often as they should. We will update this once independent battery and sustained performance testing lands, because launch specs and real-world results are not the same thing. Subscribe for honest reviews with no hype, and we will see you in the next one.